We can go to the next topic. I feel like this is something that a lot of people have talked about this summer, and it's Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren and their contract extensions. So I kind of want to get your perspective because I've asked a lot of different people, and I think everyone has a different opinion. So what's your opinion on the contract extensions with them?
Man, this is something that we've been saying for a couple of years. At least Rob Beard and I on the Woodward Pistons podcast is, these extensions are looming. The Pistons were going to have an opportunity to make a decision. I believe if Troy Weaver was here, I believe that these guys would already have deals. I do, 100%. And I think these dudes will have much bigger deals than what Trajan, if he would have given them ones right now, what he would have given them. And that's why I think that they don't have them right now. I do believe that this is a pivotal year in which these guys are going to go out there and prove that they are worth at least what, somewhere in the neighborhood of plus or minus maybe 5 or 10 million overall contract value of what a Jabari Smith got. 5 years, 122 million. The thing is, I believe that he has shown consistently to be somebody that can be, at least as a player, somebody that ceiling can be raised up pretty high. And that's what you want to be able to see out of Jalen Duren and out of Jaden Ivey this year. Not the potential necessarily, but that ceiling can be much higher than where it's at currently. And that's what I believe this year is about, especially when you talk about the contract extensions. And if you're Trajan Langdon in his front office, who's been so savvy with these contracts and I guess to this point now very patient with how they're going to handle their business, I believe you just let them play this thing out. They're going to be RFAs. You don't need to bid against yourself if their full value hasn't quite aligned yet. They might want something else of what they believe they're going to be, because what player isn't going to bet on themselves? What team isn't going to bet on their player? But you want a team that understands how to handle their business correctly. Think about this in the past, man. We've had players go out there and just get the max because that's just what you did, right? That's what you did. You remember the old ways, bro. We can go back to guys like even Andre Drummond. You draft your player. If he makes it to that second contract and he's an all-star type level player, you just give him the max. And now, though, we have a front office who's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Can you go out there and what you're going to be about? And I actually love that because you got a head coach in JB Bickerstaff who I don't think he believes in letting his players even fail. They'll weed themselves out, but ultimately I do believe that both of them are going to be players that earn contracts here. I do. You look at what's Cam Johnson making, $20 million a year with the Brooklyn Nets right now.
Probably about that.
Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren both deserve, I believe, more than that. If Jaden Ivey was healthy and put up the 17-4-4 or 18-5-5 alone, I don't think people understand how good that is in the NBA for a player with his level of athleticism, and he was playing effectively off of whatever was left over on the plate that Kay Cunningham decided to leave. So I don't know. I do believe that they're going to be somewhere competitively in that Jabari Smith 5 for 120, but I think that it's going to be at least 25, 26, if not higher. Jalen Duren is one who I think has opportunity to really push that thing higher. I know that he's looked at as a top tier center now in this league, a top tier front court player in this league, with the opportunity to go even higher if those double numbers can become more robust, and if, like we talked about, he can I think add just a little bit to that offensive game this off season. I think he's the one that has the opportunity to push that contract up a little higher. You talked about it. He's going to have opportunities to push his numbers to stupid levels. If they do more Jalen Duren hub, you're going to be looking at a guy who could realistically average 4 assists per game. That is going to be, I don't think people understand how that looks. If he winds up going out there and getting a block a game, find a way to get a steal, he can easily get four assists a game, and all of a sudden he's putting up hefty double-doubles. That stat line looks ignorant. I'm for real, for a young, promising center going into a second deal, that's a guy who could push that contract up much higher than the Jabari Smith deal, in my opinion.
I honestly think my takeaways this summer, they've been so up and down just because We had no information. Then you get a little bit of a tidbit piece from Keith Smith from Spot Track.
Yeah.
There was an anonymous. I know an Arn Tellem quote. When I know an Arn Tellem quote, that was an Arn Tellem quote saying that they're pretty confident that they can get a deal done with both of these players. I'm under the assumption they get one done, and it's Jalen Duren this summer, because I think there is no reason for Jaden Ivey to sign one for a couple of reasons. One, I think the offer that the Pistons would give him would probably be insulting, and you don't want to ruin that relationship. And two, he only played 30 games last year, and in those 30 games, it was a really small sample size. And I think Trajan Langdon is the type of general manager or president, whatever you guys want to call him, that he's very careful with what he does. And I think some people have to understand, and I know you said it, if this was Troy Weaver, they would already been extended. But Trajan has not drafted Jalen Duren or Jaden Ivey. He needs a little bit more information. I think he has a pretty good indication of what Jalen Duren is as a basketball player because he is a very durable center, doesn't miss a whole lot of games ever since he got his, ankles all taken care of. But
yeah,
I think Jalen Duren, I think you were in the ballpark. I think he could get 100. I think he could get 125 easily. If you can get him like around that price point, I think it's actually a steal because if he keeps developing and if his defense kind of catches up with his offense,
30 a year for him, bro.
yeah, like if you can get him, yeah, if you can get him like 20 to 25, that's a bargain in my opinion. I think with Jaden Ivey though, like it might cost the Pistons a little bit more money if his numbers just like he had 17 last year. Like if he gets up to 20, the 3-point shot is similar or maybe even improved 40%. Pistons might have to kind of splurge a little bit to re-sign him. And I think that's a gamble they're willing to take. They'd love for him to just, improve and, be another number 2 option. But like, if he's kind of like around the same, like around 17, 18 points a game, it still gives you, pretty good volume from 3 and, improves as a defender. He could be anywhere from like 26 to 30 personally too. It just depends like what he does this upcoming season. I think the expectations with him, I think, are higher than any other player on this roster right now, just because of the injury.